Our kids' lives will be better than our parents' lives were, notwithstanding a warming planet. The greatest imbecility of all is not drawing the obvious lesson from political failure. Doom mongering and demonization have not produced rational or effective climate policy. Advocates might claim some progress in producing neurotic reactions in teenage Swedish girls and 60 something New York architects. Most of all, though, they've succeeded in convincing millions of voters that climate activism is a bigger threat to their future well being than climate change is. End quote. I completely agree. I have said not that climate change itself is a scam, climate is always changing, but the frantic campaign to combat it has become a scam. This is John McClory. Thanks for listening.
WDEV at 90 is brought to you in part by New England Municipal Resource Center, NEMRIC, supporting strong communities by helping local governments since 1986. WDEV also serves the Northeast Kingdom at 101.9 W270BR Island Pond.
And it's swung on it high to right center field. Back deep goes Judge to the wall. It's gone. A home run. Bobby Dahlbeck puts the Red Sox back ahead with his first home run of the year.
Red Sox baseball all season long on WDEV is brought to you by Berry Electric and Lighting Supply, Lenny Shoe and Apparel, Matt Clark's Northern Basement Systems, Packard Fuels, and the Waterbury Service Center. Your home for Boston Red Sox baseball is WDEV. Don't go through another summer with that awful joint pain. Call QC Kinetics now. That pain in your back, your knees, your shoulder, it can now be treated with the latest in precision medicine using natural biologics, growth factors that can restore and repair damaged tissue. Really exciting stuff here. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, giving you access right here to this modern-day joint pain solution. You can get lasting joint pain relief with no drugs, no steroids, no downtime, and no surgery. You've heard Emmett Smith raving about QC Kinetics. You've read or seen other high-profile people talking about it. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics can help you get your life back. Take action now. Get a free consultation. Powerful, effective joint pain treatments with natural biologics are here. Call QC Kinetics now. 802-PAINLESS. 802-PAINLESS. That's 802-PAINLESS.
Treatments are not yet FDA approved.
The Brady Farkas Show is produced and funded by WDEV and the Radio Vermont Group. We welcome listener feedback. Email your comments to wdev@radiovermont.com.
The teams you care about.
Mac Jones is good. That's not the question. The question is he good enough to win repeatedly in this loaded AFC?
The stories that matter to you.
If I'm Xander Bogaerts, I need three things in order to get over that insulting contract offer.
This is your home for New England sports.
Jason Tatum, superstar. Book it.
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Brady Farkas Show here on this Wednesday on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Short show today. We're up until 6:10, and then it's Red Sox baseball. Sox and Tigers game 3 from Fenway with the Red Sox trying to sweep the AL Central foes, and Sox just keep on winning. Trevor Story, a good game yesterday. We're going to talk about all of it with Tom Caron, our Red Sox insider over at NESN. He'll be with us here in about 15 minutes. Did not speak to Freddie Coleman today, but Freddie and I will connect again next week. And we do have a full show tomorrow, and there just might be some big plans for it. We're working on firming those up. You can get in, as always, on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line. That's 802-585-3026. That is your locally owned Napa stores in Waterbury and Morrisville. You can also check us out on Facebook Live, on YouTube Live, and on my Twitter account as well.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts in the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center. Locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. We started the show yesterday talking about Rob Gronkowski retiring, and I just want to say this now. I really hope that Tom Brady does not call Gronk anymore to try to get him out of retirement. I hope that he doesn't, because yesterday we talk about Gronk retiring from football, and then right away, Gronk's agent, Drew Rosenhaus, says he thinks Gronk would pick up the phone if Brady called in season. Other people have said similar things. Our guy, Phil Perry, NBC Sports Boston, just yesterday.
No, I think Brady will probably call him in November, and he'll probably come back.
That might be true. Brady might call, and Gronk might answer it, and Gronk might come back. But I really hope that Tom Brady never places the call. He might, but I hope that he doesn't. What I'm about to say is going to sound very preachy, and I don't care. Tom Brady needs to not be selfish and just needs to let Gronk be. Gronk has been so injured in his career, and serious injuries, back, knee, arm, quad. He's talked about the physical toll that football has taken on his body throughout the course of his career. Gronk is lucky right now, after these 2 years in Tampa and the 1 year retirement in 2019, he is lucky to be relatively healthy. Tom Brady needs to not call him again and not put that health at risk. I know it sounds preachy. I know it sounds maternal and mothering. I don't care. Gronk was broken physically when he retired at the end of the 2018 season, right? After that 2018 Super Bowl and winning against the Rams, Gronk was broken. He had to retire because he was so broken. Tom Brady called, put him at risk once again. Gronk accepted that risk. Please do not put Gronk in a position to have to choose one more time. At this point, Tom Brady does not need Gronk. The only reason that Tom Brady is playing football at this point, make no mistake about it, the only reason Tom Brady is playing now is for selfish reasons. And calling Gronk would be only for selfish gain. Gronk's health does not need to be played with in that matter and for those reasons. Brady wanted Gronk in Tampa in 2020. Okay. Brady wanted to win a 7th title to further separate from Charles Haley as the best Super Bowl champion because Haley had 5. Okay. Tom Brady had a goal. Gronk helped him accomplish it. He wanted to win in Tampa to prove he could win without Belichick. Okay. Brady had a goal. He wanted Gronk to help him accomplish it. Even those goals sound pretty selfish on Brady's behalf, but at least I can understand them. Now, there is really nothing else that Tom Brady could want. There's really nothing else to accomplish. He has done everything. He's got the most Super Bowl wins. He's won in both cities. He's won without Belichick. He's proven he can play until 44, and that helps his business and the TB12 method, and that generates positive response for that. He's not playing for money. Tom Brady is playing to, at this point, just because he wants to. And that is fine. That is his own prerogative. But that is your thing, Tom Brady. Do not use other people and their very real health concerns to accomplish your own selfish goals. If Tom Brady wants to play until he's 50 and he wants to put himself at risk, then so be it. If you love the game that much, then I can understand that. I don't like that it's selfish in terms of neglecting his family life a bit. But if Tom Brady wants to play just because he wants to, then that is fine. But don't put other people at risk who don't need to be put at risk. Brady's not out here now to accomplish anything else. He's just playing because he can and because he wants to. Don't try to bring Gronk out of retirement. It's not my job to protect Gronk, but Brady should reflect and say, you know what? This guy's given me enough of his career. I shouldn't do this to him once again. I hope that is the stance that Tom Brady takes. I don't know that it will be, but I hope that it is. Brady should just look and say, you know what? I've got everything that I wanted accomplishment-wise. Gronk's got everything he wants accomplishment-wise. 4 Super Bowl titles. He's a first-ballot Hall of Famer. He's made a bunch of money. Gronk doesn't need anything else from football, and Brady doesn't need anything else either from football. So, therefore, don't ask Gronk to come back. I said the same thing in 2020. I thought it was selfish of Brady to call Gronk then. But he wanted to win the Super Bowl. He wanted to win it without Belichick. He wanted to win it without the Patriots. He needed Gronk's help. Okay, fine. I can get over that. I can't get over this. You do not need to accomplish anything else football-wise if you're Tom Brady. Bringing in Gronk just is for selfish gain, and you're playing a game with his very real health concerns just for your selfish gain, and I'm not down with that. I know some of you will think that I'm soft or weak or whatever, but there's no reason to call Gronk. It is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Let me get to the exciting news of the day, by the way, regarding the Patriots. The Patriots are bringing back, that's right, they're bringing it back, the throwback Pat Patriot uniforms, and they're doing it this season. This is the best news of the day. The Patriots announced it on social media this morning. The Patriots will wear the red uniforms with the white Pat Patriot helmets at least once this season. We don't know how many games officially. We don't know which games they'll wear them for, but we know they're going to wear them, and we know it's going to be awesome. I am an absolute sucker for jerseys and uniforms, and I'm a sucker for throwbacks. Pretty much all the uniforms that were around when I was first watching football that then went away, they're all cool, and they all deserve to be brought back, and Pat Patriot is one of them, and he's coming back this year. Pat Patriot, the creamsicle Bucks jerseys, the Kelly Green Eagle jerseys with Randall Cunningham's time frame, the royal blue Seahawk jerseys with the silver helmets, all black Falcon jerseys from the Dion days, Broncos uniform with the orange jersey, the orange crush jerseys with the royal blue helmet. Bring them all back. Bring them all out of retirement, and Pat Patriot is coming back this year. The NFL had a rule that, I don't want to bore you with it, but basically you could only have one helmet per player. So the Patriots have a silver helmet. Well, Pat Patriot's got a white helmet. So if you can only have one helmet per player, that player is going to need access to his helmet. It can't be painting his helmet, waiting for it to dry and not be able to use it. So that's why the Pats haven't worn Pat Patriot since 2012. But they bring him back this year because the league is now allowing each player 2 helmets. So you get your regular helmet and an alternate helmet, and here we go. Pat Patriot is coming back. If you're asking me which games I would want to see Pat Patriot worn for, I went through the schedule. Got to be prime time. Want it to be a night game. Increase the visibility. Have that red jersey going up against the dark background of a night sky. I mean, they're taking on the Bills, right? Thursday Night Football, December 1st in Foxborough. That's a game Pat Patriot should be worn. That's a game. I don't know how many times they're going to do it, but I want it to be at home, and I want it to be at night. There you go. They play the Bears on a Monday night game. Maybe that game. But Bills Thursday, Bears Monday, that's definitely possible. I would love them to be worn on Thanksgiving, but that's an away game at Minnesota. I don't want to burn Pat Patriot on the away game. I want the home fans to see Pat Patriot again. So, December 1st against Buffalo, that October Monday night game against Chicago, I'd be down with either one of those. So, Pat Patriot back in the fold, fall 2022. This is great news. Great news. Peter and Williston, 100% agree. Old school NFL jerseys are sweet. Pat Patriot is a prime example. Yes, definitely. And something about, I don't quite get it, supply chain issues for some of these teams. Like the Bucks and the Seahawks cannot bring their jerseys back until 2023 because they just can't get everything in time, basically. But somehow the Patriots can. I don't know. I don't care. I'll take it. Pat Patriot back this year. Wear him in that Thursday game against Buffalo. Charlie says, I never did like the flying Elvis. So that's the current Patriots helmet they've had since 93, I believe. So the current Patriots logo. So Pat Patriot back a couple of times this year. It's been a decade since the Patriots wore Pat Patriot. 2012 was the last time the Patriots wore the red jerseys with the Pat Patriot white helmet. That was the last time. A decade ago it's going to be. Bring them back. It's time. Steve says the Patriots should only wear Pat Patriot against the AFC East teams. Well, okay, I've got him against Buffalo December 1st. I'd be okay if they wore him against the Jets, but they don't have a primetime game against the Jets, so I don't really want to waste them in that regard. The one thing I think would be cool that I don't think you're going to see, throwback against throwback. That would be great, but I think these teams are going to want to wear their throwbacks at home. So, I'd love to see the Patriots wear Pat Patriot against the Joe Namath Jets jerseys. I just don't think it's going to happen to where you're going to get throwback against throwback because these teams don't want to burn their alternate jerseys. You can only wear alternate jerseys a certain amount of times per year. I don't think they want to burn them on the road. I think they want to show them off to their home crowd. So we can get more into that, but I like the Buffalo idea, right? I like the Buffalo idea. December 1st, Thursday Night Football, the Thursday after Thanksgiving. I'm down with that. It's the Brady Farkas Show here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. We got Tom Caron waiting on the line, so let's cue up the Tom Caron intro, I guess.
Looking for the latest information on the Red Sox?
Not only is David Ortiz a Hall of Famer, but he is one of the best of the best.
How about the Bruins?
Are they a Stanley Cup champion? Probably not as presently constructed, but they're a playoff team.
And you've come to the right place. We talk now with NESN insider Tom Caron.
Baseball isn't boring because there's still nothing like the communal gathering of fans at a baseball game.
On the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Oh, yeah, text does say wearing Pat Patriot against the Bears on that Monday night game would be tough, given that the Bears blew out the Pats in the 85 Super Bowl. Maybe we don't want to do that. It's still a primetime game, though. It's still Monday, so I would be, I'd be down with it. But, yeah, I get it. Some older Patriots fans might not enjoy that scenery. So, although I think it'll be a different result this year. The Bears are projected to be one of the worst teams in the league. All right, now let's go out to the phone line and bring on Tom Caron, our Red Sox and Bruins insider over at NESN. Sox are rolling. They beat the Tigers the last two nights. Story, the big homer yesterday. They go for a sweep tonight. Our coverage begins here at 6:10. TC is with us now. TC, I got to imagine you're doing pretty well with the Sox rolling like they are.
Yeah, they're playing better, no doubt about it. Hard to believe tonight is the last home game of June already. They won't be back till the 4th of July.
Unbelievable. Sox have played great, winning, I think, 10 of the last 11 series or 10-11, 10-1-1 in the last 12, something like that. Let's start here. Last week we talked about how we thought Rob Refsnyder had a role on this team moving forward. Well, now Jarren Duran is in the mix and playing pretty well. You can't have all these outfielders there. Who do you think is more valuable to this team right now, Refsnyder or Durant?
That's a great question. It's, long-term, there's no question. It's Duran. It's elite speed. He's getting on base, got on base 3 times Monday night. Last night, beat out a ground ball that I think 90% of the guys in Major League Baseball would have been thrown out, and that leads to the first run of the game for the Red Sox. So every time he does something like that, it certainly gets your attention. You got to look at the business part of it, right? Not the finances, but the protection. To move Refsnyder, to put him off this roster, he's going to have to go through waivers. He's not going to clear. I would think somebody's going to grab Rob Refsnyder. You can send Jarren Duran back to Worcester, and so the short term and you really are kind of left-handed heavy, and Refsnyder gives you a good at-bat from the right side. So. I don't know. At the end of the day, and the one thing that factors in, it's really the first time we've started talking about this, is the new rule where you can only option a guy 5 times back to the minors. So I think this is 3 times now with Duran, so you're already starting to have to think about that. I think by the time you get to the trade deadline, August, I think Jarren Duran's going to be on this team and going to stay on this team. But it might be one of those deals where for the short term, you keep Refsnyder, even though that's a tough, a bitter pill to swallow there for Duran, who may end up back there for a little bit.
I was going to ask you a question about the trade deadline. I mean, is there any chance, like if you're going to keep Ref Snyder and Duran goes back to AAA, is there any chance that Duran becomes trade bait for this team? Add to the bullpen, upgrade at first base. He's certainly shown a lot to see a guy who could be on the move potentially.
Yeah, I don't see it because Kike Hernandez is a free agent after this season. Jackie Bradley Jr. is probably going to be a free agent after the season. It's a mutual option for $12 million. I can't imagine it gets picked up by the team. I think Duran's going to be a starting center fielder next year, the way he's trending now. So I don't think so. It's funny. That's one of the reasons you keep Ref Snyder is because Ref Snyder will have some value. It's not a blockbuster deal, but he's the kind of guy you throw into a little trade to get a reliever or something, which is where they're probably going to have to make a move at the trade deadline, right? But no, I think Duran now is working his way into the important core of the future of this team.
I'm falling for the bait here. I have all year said I'm not going to get excited about Chris Sale. I'm not going to expect anything from Chris Sale. He's just going to be a wild card and an added bonus. And now I hear 97 consistently. The changeup is back to where it was pre-Tommy John. Now I'm starting to get excited about Sale. How excited should I be about his return?
Well, it's hard not to be because you remember what Chris Sale can be. And I love that Alex Cora said he's coming back as a starter. We're not going to mess around and try him as a reliever or bring him in for 2 or 3 innings and stretch him out at the major league level. He's going to stay in the minors until he can throw 5 innings in a game. He hasn't even thrown 2 yet, right? It was only 1 inning the other day because he threw 22 pitches. He'll go again on Saturday. But there is reason to be excited. Listen, there's no worse cliche in Red Sox Nation than the last 10 years when you say the best trade deadline pickup is going to be returning player X. We've been saying that every year, and player X for the last 3 years has been Chris Sale. So temper the expectations. We've seen the setbacks, but if he can come back and be, if you can have Evaldi and Pivetta at the top of this and just slot Sale into the middle of this and not have to depend on him completely, now you'd start talking about this is a different team to face in September and October.
How worried are you about Evaldi? When he was injured against Anaheim a couple of weeks ago, we thought it was the hip, then it was the lower back. Now I've heard both since then, and now we hear he's not progressing as quickly as we'd want. How concerned are you about Evaldi?
Well, it's that ancient song, the tailbone's connected to the ham bone, whatever. It's all connected, right? The hip and the lower back, and that worries me because that's the engine room, right? That's where you're generating your power as a pitcher, and he's a power pitcher, and it's all the rotational push off on the rubber. So I am worried because when you hear it's going slower than expected, that means it's a worse injury than expected. And listen, this guy has been just such a tough luck guy as far as injuries because they're all different. This isn't a recurring elbow problem. This isn't a shoulder injury over and over. This guy's had everything. He's dealt with everything over the years. And he was putting together one hell of a contract year, a salary drive. And now who knows? So I am worried because I just don't know how long it'll be. And, with Sale probably still a month away, 3 to 4 weeks away at the absolute best, you're really missing Nathan Evaldi right now because we can talk about the schedule in a minute if you want, but you got that. I've been talking about this for a couple of weeks now. There's a 14-day gauntlet leading into the All-Star break where you have 7 games against the Yankees and 7 games against the Rays. And you better be ready for that because your whole season might be dictated in those 2 leagues.
Tom Caron, Red Sox insider over at NESN with us here on the Brady Farkas Show. He is every single Wednesday here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. I want to get to the schedule here momentarily, but I want to talk about Red Sox prospect Brayan Bello, who we heard a lot about a couple of weeks ago in AA, went up to AAA and was dominating. I've heard specifically on the radio side of things, Will Fleming mentioning him maybe being a bullpen option here for later in the year. Well, certainly that could help the team. There's also the development of the player. How do you balance maybe the short-term gain for the team versus the long-term development of Bello, both physically as a starter, but also mentally and kind of just, going through the proper checklist of what it would take to get to the big leagues?
Yeah, and I've talked to a lot of the Red Sox about him, the front office, because he is such an exciting prospect. 7 shutout innings with 7 strikeouts last night. And the one chorus I keep hearing echoed is they are not going to alter his development timeline based on the needs of the Red Sox. And so that means they're not going to get him here sooner because there's an injury. They're not going to pull him up because they're in the race and they need one more arm. They think this guy is such an electric long-term prospect that they're going to make sure he's doing everything he can do. And let's face it, it's been a big jump. He's dominated every level he's ever been at, but I haven't updated the numbers, but it's a very small number of innings he has thrown above single A in his career. Hard to rush that guy into the majors. That said, he's tantalizing down there, striking out everybody, getting out of jams when he occasionally gets into them. The fastball velocity is incredible, and he learned the changeup from Pedro Martinez. I keep hearing Pedro Martinez changeup, and when you talk about that, that's one of the greatest pitches I have ever seen. So, to your point, can he help this team in a relief role? Probably, but isn't that the definition of altering his timeline for the needs of the team? And they keep telling me they're not going to do that. I think there's more of a chance you see him up here making a couple of starts in September just to get him that taste, because I don't think there's any doubt 2023, Brian Bayo is going to be a part of this team.
What was it like to have Manny at the park yesterday? Or 2 days ago. It's so Manny to miss his Hall of Fame induction ceremony and then show up on a random Monday with David Ortiz, and he was yucking it up in the radio booth. We loved it. What was it like having Manny out at the park?
Yeah, we had him up in the TV booth as well. The funny thing is, you may have heard Alex Cora talk about it after the game. He and David Ortiz were sitting right next to Cora, and they couldn't shut up. I mean, he
said he had to separate them.
They were FaceTiming Kevin Millar up in our booth and like shoving it in Cora's face. And Cora's like, the great Cora is like, this ain't Fort Myers, bro. This is a Major League Baseball game. I'm trying to work. And he said he kept feeding David sunflower seeds to shut him up because he just wanted him doing something. It was great. And it was, I wonder, and Manny didn't say this, I didn't get the chance to ask him. I do wonder if he avoided that Red Sox Hall of Fame night just because he wasn't sure of the reaction. Because if you heard him, what he told reporters Monday night was that he was blown away. He kind of didn't expect the positive outpouring of love and affection he got from the Red Sox, because things ended rocky here. We all know that. He's been very accountable about the mistakes he made, the mistakes that kept him and will keep him out of the Baseball Hall of Fame. But I just thought it was great that it was sort of that moment that, like, they love me. They really do love me. And I just don't know he knew that until he felt it the other night.
Well, I'll get you out of here on this. You're tired of talking about it. I'm tired of talking about it. The Tanner Houck vaccination stuff, because you got the 14-game gauntlet you're talking about through with the Rays and Yankees. You're also going to go to Toronto multiple more times this year. And Houck not being vaccinated hurt the rotation and therefore the bullpen the first time they went to Toronto. And now that he's this closer/stopper, it's going to hurt this team again against the team they're directly battling with. What do we make of Houck and his decision to not get vaccinated, and how the team covers for it, and how everybody feels about it at this point, considering how vital he is?
I hate it. They hate it. We all hate it. But I'm not sure what you can do. There's nothing you can do about it because you can't force him to do it. You could kind of work around it as when he was a starter, right? You could get him before the series and after the series, and then sort of play that out that way. The problem is, as a closer, you need him every night. And we saw last night, they got through it, Strom and then Schreiber, but the Toronto Blue Jays up in Rogers Center are not the Detroit Tigers at Fenway Park. You need your best guys out there. And it's I really thought that after the brouhaha the first time they went to Toronto, I thought he would go get one. But clearly that didn't change his mind, so that's not going to happen. And by the way, they need a starter for Tuesday right now, right? Because with the off day, they're going to go basically through everybody this weekend in Cleveland. They'll go, I think it's Pivetta, then Winkowski, then Hill. And so it's Waka on Monday in Toronto, and you got nobody for Tuesday right now. Cutter Crawford would be that guy. He was also not vaccinated, if you remember. He didn't make the trip last time. So now your hope is Garrett Whitlock, who threw live BP yesterday, might be able to come back for that start, or you have to bullpen it, or Connor Siebold gets up for a game. But it's a mess. It's a mess that's self-inflicted, and you shouldn't have to deal with this. And, I was just trying to pull up the schedule while we were talking here, because they go back to Toronto the last weekend of the season. 3 games in Toronto between Baltimore and Tampa Bay. Those might be games that dictate whether or not you get in the playoffs. And what if you don't have your closer, Tanner Houck? What if you don't have Chris Sale, who last we checked was still unvaccinated? You really, for guys who say I'll do anything to win, anything except that, apparently. And it's really unfortunate because it affects the team and that might cost them. And I can't imagine how that'll go over in the court of public opinion. It won't be good.
Well, it's one dark cloud over a very positive last month and a half of Red Sox baseball. Tom Caron, Sox insider at NESN. Our pregame show begins tonight at 6:10. First pitch 7:10. Sox go for the sweep. TC, much appreciated as always, and we will talk to you in 7 days.
Thanks, Brady. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Red Sox baseball about 15 minutes from now. And yeah, the Houck vaccination story is big. Again, I hate talking about this, right? You're COVIDed out. I'm COVIDed out. You're vaxxed out. I'm vaxxed out. It's talking about COVID and talking about vaccines no longer feels productive, and it no longer is desired as far as I am concerned with most people. And we have to do it now again because of Tanner Houck and eventually because of Chris Sale. This Tanner Houck thing is big. The Red Sox are going to go on the road to Toronto next week, and they are going to be without the guy who is proven now to be their shutdown bullpen arm. If you remember what happened to the Red Sox the last time they went to Toronto, they lost games. Remember? Houck couldn't start. He was in the rotation, couldn't start. So Whitlock had to go to the rotation. Whitlock's not in the pen. Team gives up multiple leads late. That was a problem then. Now Houck's in the bullpen. And now what are we going to see? We're going to see Robles back in the 9th inning. We're going to see Schreiber in the 9th inning, who faltered yesterday before Houck rescued him. This is a big deal. I wish it wasn't the case. I wish we didn't have to talk about it. You're COVIDed out. I'm COVIDed out. We're all vaccine talked out. But Tanner Houck not being vaccinated is going to be a big story, and it could have potentially big implications next week when this team, who's red hot, who's battling the Blue Jays, who is currently half game behind the Blue Jays, I guess 1 game now because Toronto's already won today. That's a team you're directly battling with, both in the division and in the wild card race. And now you don't have your closer. It's a big story. We're going to talk with Buster Olney about it all tomorrow as well. Brady Farkas Show. We'll come right back with the Red Sox lineups here on DEV.
96.1 WDEV FM Warren. 96.5 W243 AT Barrie. 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier. AM 550 WDEV Waterbury.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Facet Wealth.
I'm Peter King in Orlando. President Biden has asked Congress for a federal gas tax holiday for the summer. More from White House correspondent Stephen Portnoy.
The plan would have Congress waiving the 18-cent per gallon federal gas tax for 3 months and hoping that states put on their own tax holidays.
It doesn't reduce all the pain, but it would be a big help.
The president would call on oil companies to pass the savings on to drivers.
There's no time now for profiteering.
But a top Senate Republican calls the plan dead on arrival, and the Democratic chair of the House Transportation Committee says the well-intentioned policy would achieve only minuscule relief at best. Stephen Portnoy, CBS News, the White House.
Fed Chair Jerome Powell was in the hot seat to answer questions from the Senate Banking Committee. Here's CBS's Jason Brooks.
Powell said the Fed is strongly committed to bringing down inflation and says while the U.S. economy is well positioned to handle future rate hikes, the impact could send the economy into a recession.
Rescue efforts are moving slowly in a remote area of Afghanistan hit hard by a powerful earthquake. UNICEF's Sam Mort says part of the problem is this.
We've got men moving the stones, the mud, the bricks with their hands. There's no sophisticated equipment up in these villages.
At least 1,000 people are feared dead. 9 days after flooding destroyed homes and washed out bridges and more, parts of Yellowstone National Park have reopened to the delight of tourists like Mackenzie Devereaux. She traveled there from Oregon.
Yellowstone and the Grand Tetons have always been on my bucket list, and so having to wait was a little bit disappointing. However, I'm still very grateful that we get to go at all.
The Wall Street Journal reports the FDA is about to order Juul to stop selling e-cigarettes in the U.S. Consumer rights advocate Yael Osowski says it's a bad idea.
This is very, very bad for former smokers who depend on these products to switch away. It's a way to get nicotine in a less harmful way, and people are just going to be pushed back into smoking.
Lots of people have extra jobs, which until recently helped them earn extra money for fun things. Bankrate.com analyst Ted Rossman says now the side income is an essential part of everyday living.
Right now, 31% of Americans have a side hustle, and that's down from 38% in 2019. But a lot more of these people are using this money just to get by. Considerably fewer people are using this money to boost their savings.
A federal advisory panel says Americans 65 and up should get newer, souped-up flu vaccines because regular shots don't provide enough protection. It says flu vaccines might offer more or longer protection for seniors. The Dow closed down 47. This is CBS News.
Facet Wealth is an SEC-registered investment advisor. They offer customized financial planning for you, not just your assets. Learn more at facetwealth.com/Jill.
Hi, my name is Jeff Gould. I live in Barrie, Vermont, and run J. Gould Plumbing and Heating. I'm here to talk to you about Central Vermont Home Health and Hospice, an organization that is very dear to me and my sister Elizabeth's heart. CVHHH's hospice team cared for my mother, Barbara Gould, a nurse who worked for 50 years in this community, at the end of her life. CVHHH's hospice nurses embraced me, my mom, and my family with warmth and kindness that helped us through a very painful time. They explained what to expect as Mom declined and were always available to answer our questions. Mom received the same high-quality care that she valued and provided as a nurse. Elizabeth and I are forever grateful. So please join Elizabeth and I and donate to Central Vermont Home Health and Hospice's Spring Appeal. Your gift ensures families like ours can access the loving care and one-on-one support in the comfort of home and at a time when it matters the most. Please donate at cvhhh.org. Thank you.
How well does your garden grow? Tune in Saturdays at 12:30 for In the Garden with Peter Burke. Peter and co-host Joel Nashman give you 1 full hour of the latest news, helpful tips, and your calls to talk about what's happening in your garden. It's brought to you in part by Guy's Farm and Yard. If it eats and grows, Guys can feed it. GuysFarmandYard.com. In the Garden with Peter Burke. Live Saturdays at 12:30. Hear the podcast anytime at WDEVradio.com.
You don't get to be the league's all-time leading rusher without feeling some pain.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith knows joint pain, and he also knows the old treatments aren't the only treatments. Today, there's a natural alternative to drugs and surgery. It's biologic therapies from QC Kinetics.
I'm talking regenerative solutions that encourage your body to heal and repair itself.
Do you have pain in your hips, knees, shoulder, lower back? Want to get your life back? The local medical professionals at QC Kinetics can help.
Call to learn more about this exciting natural way to deal with chronic joint pain.
Don't put it off. Call QC Kinetics. Restorative, regenerative solutions with no downtime and lasting results.
Don't let your joint pain keep you from doing the things you love. There's a new natural solution that patients are raving about.
QC Kinetics.
Make the call to QC Kinetics. Tell them Emmitt Smith sent you.
Call QC Kinetics. 802-PAINLESS. That's 802-PAINLESS. QC Kinetics. 802-PAINLESS. That's 802-PAINLESS. Treatments are not yet FDA approved.
Do you want to learn more about the free market perspective on important public policy issues affecting you, your work, and your community? I'm Bill Sayre, and I hope you'll do so by joining me in conversation with Vermont opinion leaders as we discuss how best to make Vermont an ever better and more affordable place to live and work. Common Sense Radio with Bill Sayre, weekdays 11 till noon.
Make your opinion heard by texting onto the Brady Farkas Show at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Yeah, just a couple of minutes away from Red Sox baseball, Sox and Tigers, Game 3 of the 3-game set at Fenway. This will be it for the Red Sox and Tigers this year. Remember, we saw them for 4 earlier in the season at Comerica Park. So last time seeing Miguel Cabrera at Fenway this year. So we'll get to the lineups here momentarily. Tomorrow, I'll just tell you, we have we always have a fun show, but we have a full 90-minute show. Buster Olney is going to stop by tomorrow at 5:45, and we are working on something special. I can't tell you what it is because in case it doesn't happen, I don't want to have gotten hopes up or anything. But we may have a visitor in studio tomorrow. We're efforting that. We're working on that. We're trying our best to figure that out. So I don't want to leave you hanging, but we're working on it. So tomorrow, if it's going to happen, you'll know by the midday news service. Okay, when I'm doing the midday news service with Lee at noon, you will know if we're going to have a special guest in studio, and I'm hoping that it happens because it would be someone that I know you all would look forward to hearing from. Someone who has a local tie, a very big local tie, and has done some great things on the national and international stages. We'll just leave it at that. So we're working on efforting this interview tomorrow in studio as this person is back in Vermont. So working on that. The show is brought to you in part by Pro Driver Training. That's Pro Driver Training, Vermont's premier truck driver training school. They're online at ProDriverCDL.com. They're online again, ProDriverCDL.com. Can help you with your Class A CDL, your Class B CDL, passenger, and advanced skills training as well. The Tigers are 26-42. The Red Sox are 38-31. Tariq Skubal's on the mound for Detroit. He threw a no-hitter last year against the Mariners. He's 5-4 with a 3.13 ERA. Michael Wacha 5-1 with a 2.28 for your Red Sox. Victor Reyes leads off in right field. Riley Green, the young phenom, is in center, hitting .417 in limited action this year. Javi Baez, the shortstop, over 200 now at 209 with 5 homers and 19 ribbies. The aforementioned Miguel Cabrera is hitting .300. He's got 23 RBI on the year. Harold Castro is at third. Robbie Grossman's in left. The former number 1 pick in the draft, Spencer Torkelson, is at first, hitting .195. Jonathan Scope also at 196. He's at second with 6 home runs. And Tucker Barnhart, he is the catcher. He bats ninth. He's hitting .226 with no home runs. For the Red Sox, Jarren Duran leads off once again in center, hitting .303 with a couple of steals to his ledger. Rob Refsnyder is in right, hitting .391. J.D. Martinez is the DH at .330, 8 homers and 30 RBI. Xander Bogaerts at shortstop, hitting .335. Alex Verdugo is in left. Trevor Story's at second, hitting .223 with 48 RBIs and 8 steals. Christian Vasquez is the catcher. Bobby Dahlbeck is at first. And Jeter Downs making his Major League debut. That's right, a Jeter starts for the Boston Red Sox. He'll play third base. He's never played third in a professional game. So no Devers today, no JBJ, no Franchi Cordero, a bunch of lefties getting the night off. So there you go. It's Michael Wacha against Tariq Skubal. Go find the Brady Farkas Show podcast on the podcast channel at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and WDEVradio.com. We'll be back tomorrow. Buster Olney of ESPN at 5:45, and fingers crossed to that special guest in studio. Go Sox!